Now, austerity or political gimmick? Did President William Ruto really intend to cut wastage and reduce government spending by merging and dissolving 51 parastatals on Tuesday, or was the move a political gimmick? It appears that the move may not have been to reduce wastage, and that the cabinet decision to dissolve nine parastatals and merge 42 others could only have been a drop in the ocean, as more than 200 other parastatals that were recommended for dissolution in the State Corporations Advisory Committee's report are still operational. NTV's David Mudhoka looks at these parastatals that continue to function even after a report prepared more than 12 years ago recommended for their dissolution or merger.
A report tabled before retired President Uhuru Kenyatta in October 2013 by the State Corporations Advisory Committee recommended the dissolution or merging of more than 300 parastatals that either had overlapping roles or were not in line with the 2010 Constitution to help the government cut on wastage and reduce government spending. President Kenyatta sat on the report, letting it to gather dust for the 9 years that he was in power. However, data shows that a majority of the parastatals mentioned in the report were not funded under Uhuru's tenure. When President William Ruto came in, he revived most of the dormant parastatals by channeling funds to their accounts and even appointing board members to sit at the helm of the parastatals. This until Tuesday, when the president, through cabinet, decided to dissolve or merge 51 parastatals that had been placed on the chopping block, including parastatals where until last Friday he had appointed new members to their boards. NTV has, however, established that Ruto's move may have just been a drop in the ocean. Over 200 other parastatals that the 2013 report of the State Corporations Advisory Committee recommended for dissolution or merging are still up and running. Some of those that the committee recommended for dissolution but are still active include Coffee Development Fund, Coffee Board of Kenya, Cotton Development Authority, Kenya Coconut Development Authority, Pyrethrum Board of Kenya, now Pyrethrum Regulatory Authority, Sisal Board of Kenya, Tea Board of Kenya, Kenya Sugar Board, Horticultural Crops Development Authority, and Rural Electrification Authority. Others are Mombasa Pipeline Board, Water Services Trust Fund, Kenya Rural Roads Authority, and Kenya Urban Roads Authority, which the president now seeks to merge instead of dissolving, Canning Crops Board, Tourism Research Institute, Cereals and Sugar Finance Corporation, just to mention but a few. Some of the parastatals recommended for merging but still operate independently include the Industrial and Commercial Development Corporation, Kenya Industrial Estates, IDB Capital, and Tourism Finance Corporation, which should have merged to form the Kenya Development Bank, the Export Promotion Council, Kenya Investment Authority, and Brand Kenya Board, which should have merged to create the Kenya Investment Corporation, which in turn ought to have merged with the Kenya Development Bank to form the Kenya Economic Development Bank. Others are the National Oil Corporation of Kenya, the Kenya Pipeline Company, and the National Petroleum Corporation, which should have merged into a single national oil company, the Kenya National Library Service, the Kenya National Archives and Documentation Services, and the National Museums of Kenya, that should have merged to create a single entity, just to mention but a few. In the meantime, State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed has stated that over 5,000 civil servants who have been affected in the latest dissolution and merging of parastatals will be absorbed into the public service, refuting reports that they will lose their jobs. David Mudhoka, NTV, Nairobi.
This report there by NTV tonight on William Ruto's plan to have some parastatals default has really raised some concern in the Republic. Many people have come out to say that indeed, is this austerity or just some political games? Of course, many people are really looking at the end game. That is the job losses and job cuts which might happen as a result of this measure. What do you really think about it? For me, I feel like maybe President William Ruto is trying to do some political gimmicks. I don't know. Is he really aiming to cut down that political wastage, or is he trying to do some things which are going to really look like he's doing some political changes, but in the end game, he's doing some saving for the government? The government of Kenya has really faced challenges in the last few days. Those are some of the very, very open sagas we can completely talk about. But in reality, the people on the ground are suffering. If there are going to be job losses about this, then the end result is some people will suffer. It may take them very long time to recover the job unless they are absorbed to the government or the public service commission. For me, I feel like maybe if President William Ruto is making this move, he must really tread very carefully, because as of the moment in Kenya, people are crying about jobs. That's the big issue. What do you think about it? Make sure you comment down below.